Welcome everybody to the Giver Method channel, home of impact makers. I'm super excited you're able to join me today because today's topic is going to be so impactful for all of the people who consume our content. I'm talking to you specifically if you are a parent, if you are a small business owner or entrepreneur, if you are a leader or aspiring leader, all of the people out there who are trying to use their unique gifts, superpowers, and experiences that they've had and combine them together to make an impact and influence in other people's lives. Any one of you that falls into that bucket, today's topic should be so important for you because here's the thing, you've actually been throwing away one of the things that makes you the most valuable to people that are out there. Think about that. If you're the only person that has your combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences, you're the only person who can make an impact in very specific people's lives. And so we want to help you to unpack that and move past that today. Today is going to be like a long form workshop style video. So I highly recommend you grab a piece of paper and a pen, maybe open up your notes app and jot things down because I'm going to give you some of the best tips and practices of things that you could go and do. How do you install the right systems, processes, and frameworks that help you to get to where you want to go faster and prevent you from falling into old routines? Now, I also know that as a parent or a small business owner, entrepreneur, leader, aspiring leader, like any of the people who are watching, I mean, I've walked the same path as you. I'm a father of 3 boys. I'm married. I run multiple businesses. I've been that leader in a large organization, another cog in the wheel in that sea of cubicles that's out there. So I've walked the same path as you. I know that you can't just move to the woods to go find yourself. You can't burn everything down and start from scratch. So these systems, processes, and frameworks are designed to be things that you can install as a part of the life you're already living. They will match the life you're living, your leadership style, your parenting style, the way you run meetings, the way you interact with people. But once again, they will help you get to where you want to go faster and prevent you from falling back into the old routines that have been keeping you stuck where you are. And so today's topic, like I said, you're throwing away one of the most valuable parts of you. And we want to unlock that so that you can actually step into this version of you that can make an impact in the way that only you can. Think about it this way. What if the thing holding you back isn't a lack of talent? What if it's that you've spent years trying to build your life around strengths that were never meant for you to carry at all? Think about that for a second, because most people aren't struggling because they have no gifts at all. They're struggling because they've become experts at overlooking the ones that they already have, and they keep searching for these new ones. And so we want to unpack that with you today so you can actually move forward. It's one of the core principles that we cover as a part of the book, The Giver Method. Now, I do like to always say at the top of the videos, if you're new, welcome to the Giver Method channel. Now, my name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder and author of this book called The Giver Method. The G in Giver is all about your gifts. Finding your gifts and your superpowers, okay? So this topic is so impactful. Everything we cover is grounded principles directly from this book. If you don't have a copy, I recommend you get it right now while it's on sale on Amazon. So I'll put a link at the top of the description where you can go to Amazon, get a copy of the book. If you want, you can get that digital version. It's I think for as little as $2. You can also get the physical if you want, or the audio if you want to use the Audible version and go through them. Maybe get multiple. I highly recommend sometimes getting other copies for other people, family members, team members, coworkers, clients. This is like the handbook for all of them that helps them to unlock their gifts and superpowers, create more impact in the world, more influence, more value for other people, and have deeper, more meaningful relationships, and really start to live the life that's more fulfilling and joy-filled and delight-filled, and create opportunities that they never knew were available to them. I highly recommend that you do that. Get a copy for yourself, get a copy for someone else. I'll put a link, like I said, at the top of the description. You can also at any time, if you want to get more details, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the social media platforms under the name The Giver Method. YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel. You can ring that bell for notifications so that these long form content videos show up for you more. And at the same time, I'll put links in the description that go to our website, thegivermethod.com. Now on there, you can get on the newsletter list. You can go take advantage. We have all sorts of free resources there. Plus we have our coaching program and our mastermind community that you can look into. Now let's get back into this topic we're covering, okay? Because what I want to do is I want to start with something that might be sometimes uncomfortable for some of the people to hear. When they actually hear it, starts to stir something inside them. They can start to feel it. The thing that is the most valuable that you have, the most valuable thing that you possess, probably doesn't feel valuable to you at all. In fact, it probably feels very ordinary and normal, almost automatic, maybe even boring in some cases. And it's because it feels this way. You've spent years looking right past it. You've assumed that if something is truly important or feels impressive, it would stand out, it would make you feel like you're gifted. It would have taken some hard work to achieve, but that's not how your natural gifts and superpowers work. Most of them don't feel extraordinary from the inside. They feel so natural to you. So natural that you stop noticing them. And that's where this problem begins, because once you stop noticing them, you stop developing them, you stop trusting them, you stop using them in the most intentional ways, and eventually you start chasing these other strengths that are out there that look more impressive while ignoring the things that actually make you the most valuable to the people around you. You've been searching for something that's bigger while walking past something that's already yours. So here's the reframe that I want you to really think about and consider today. The things you dismiss the fastest are often the things that you should be really investigating more carefully. What feels ordinary to you feels extraordinary to somebody else. What feels so easy to you might be something that's extremely difficult for other people. What's natural to you may be the exact thing that makes you uniquely valuable to other people. Now, the goal of this video isn't to help you to become someone different by any means. It's to help you to finally recognize what's been sitting in plain sight all along, and you've just been blind. I call it gift blindness. You've been blind to these things that are sitting right in front of you. So we're going to walk through like 5 very important areas, okay? Gift blindness is one of those. We're going to run an audit. We're going to track your energy. We're going to do this thing that I call the borrowed eyes system. We're going to reframe some of the ordinary things that you're seeing, and then we're going to talk about like how do you deploy this in real time. By the end of the video, I want you I don't want you to be wondering anymore what your gifts might be. I want you looking at the evidence that they've been sitting right in front of you for so long. They're not out there to go find, they're right in front of you. That you've been spending years like just of not seeing them. Now, before we go further, I want to talk about one honest thing here. The hardest part of this process isn't discovering your gifts. The hardest part is believing it counts, believing it has the value. Because the moment that you start seeing it, like the old voice shows up, the one that's like, hey, that's nothing special. Anyone can do that. It doesn't really matter. And if you've spent years listening to that voice, it becomes very difficult to trust what you're seeing on your own. And so that's why we have some of our programs. That's why the book is great. It's the field guidebook to get you through what you need. But it's also why we have some of our programs that we offer to people. So anyone who's watching, parents, small business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, aspiring leaders, employees, caregivers, anyone trying to find this, get past this point and discover their gifts and superpowers and start to use them and believe them, use them intentionally. All of you should be checking out our one-on-one coaching program. It's called the Ignition Accelerator. Okay, that's the one-on-one coaching program that's meant just for people like you. It's a 90-day process that actually takes you to uncover your gifts, develop them, deploy them, the things that you've spent years overlooking, and use them in a way that makes the most sense in your life. At the same time, if you are a small business owner or entrepreneur, you can also look into our mastermind. It's called Impact Makers. Because when you're surrounded by people who recognize and develop their own gifts and see the gifts in you and help you develop them, it makes it harder to talk yourself out of what you're seeing and what you're doing. I'll talk more on those programs later, but for now, let's just start uncovering what you've been overlooking for so long. And so the first thing is that idea of the gift blindness audit. These are the clues that have been there the whole time. You just keep throwing them away. So we need to gather that evidence. What are those pieces? How do we start to put them into place so we can actually see what they are? Have you ever noticed how quickly you dismiss the things people appreciate you for? Think about that for a second. Someone thanks you for something. They tell you, and you're just hey, it was no big deal. It's okay. No one could, it was nothing, right? You say that, someone asks for help, and you just assume, they would have asked anybody for that. Someone compliments maybe a strength that you have, and you immediately, explain it away as nothing. Most people don't have a problem, that they don't have gifts. That's not the problem. They have an evidence problem. Because the clues have been showing up for years. They've just been discarding those clues. They've never stopped long enough to see the pattern. Think about it. One compliment gets forgotten. One thank you gets maybe minimized. One conversation gets dismissed. None of these feel significant themselves. But what happens when the same thing keeps showing up over and over again? What if you kept track of what those are? What if they started to compound over time and you're holy crap. Look at all this. The things that keep showing up, the people keep coming to me with the same kind of help, the thank yous about my, for the same type of contributions, the trust, the people trust you with the same kind of problems. These are not random, they are evidence. And that's exactly what this first exercise is designed to uncover for you. So here's how you run the audit, okay? The first thing I want you to do is I want you to gather the 4 clues. I want you to make 4 lists. So maybe pull a piece of paper, put 4, sections on there, open up a notes app, put 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it might be. And what you would think about is number 1, what do people thank you for? And just jot down ideas. If you need to pause the video, you can. The next one, what do people regularly ask you for help for? Put those down. The third one is what comes naturally to you? Put those down. Don't edit, don't judge, just put down whatever feels right. And then the fourth one is what feels easy to you but seems to create value for other people? I don't overthink it. Once again, we're just collecting clues because right now we're not trying to prove anything. We're simply gathering evidence that maybe you've been overlooking. And then what you want to do is once you write these lists, step back for a second and look at what keeps repeating. You have them, that's what are the patterns? What keeps showing up? What appears in multiple places? Maybe people are constantly coming to you for advice. Maybe you're the person who helps simplify the complex things. Maybe you're really good at encouraging people. You're great at seeing the possibilities in others. Like, one example can be dismissed, but recurring patterns are harder to ignore. Like, gifts often reveal themselves through the repetition long before they reveal themselves in like confidence that's there. And then you start keeping, we're going to talk a lot about these 30-day challenges, these 30-day implementation and deployments. I honestly say, like, if you do this and you start keeping track of it, start with a week, move it to 2 weeks, go to a whole month. Like, and what you want to do is you want to keep a running note, like on your phone, for every compliment you get, every thank you note, every piece of positive feedback. Write it down exactly as it was given. Don't argue with it. Don't explain it away. Like, don't add your usual, yeah, but just record it down. That's what it matters. Because a lot of you spend years acting like some sort of a defense attorney against your own strengths. This exercise takes away the argument and lets the evidence speak for itself. And then what you want to do is you look back before you look forward. You know, if you want to think about like life, your chapters within your life, think about your teenage years, your 20s, your 30s, like whatever seasons apply to you. What did people constantly come to you for? What role did you naturally play? What strengths maybe keep showing up regardless of the environment? Because gifts tend to leave tracks. It could be different jobs, different relationships, or stages of life, but it's the same like underlying strengths that are there. And when something follows you through every season of life, that's usually not luck. It's a part of who you are. Most people aren't missing their gifts. They're just missing the patterns that are there. And they've spent years treating every clue as like an isolated event. But when you actually look at the evidence, like all stacked up, those patterns appear and it's like, now I can actually see what they are. And now we can start to do something about it. Now, the second area that we want to focus on is like, we also have to follow what makes you come alive. There's an energy trail and a tracker that you can put with that uses your aliveness as like a detection, like instrument, process. We're looking at results. Like we're stop looking at just the results that happen and start looking at your energy and reading that signal. And so think about that. Like, let's challenge something that most people never question. You've probably spent years measuring your strengths by results. Like, what are you good at? What have you accomplished? What do people recognize you for? Like, what have you become like known for? And on the surface, that makes sense. But the problem is, like, you just because you're good at something doesn't mean it's one of your gifts. In fact, some things you're the best at are the very things that are absolutely exhausting you because they're misaligned with who you are. A lot of people who watch these videos, who are in our audience, know exactly what I'm talking about because you've become so good, incredibly good at the things that were never actually yours, like things you never actually loved to do, but you became really good, really consistent, really predictable. You learned how to handle responsibility and manage chaos. You solve the problems, you carry the load. And because you became good at it, everyone kept giving you more of it. Meanwhile, the things that naturally brought you energy got pushed aside. And that's why I want you to stop looking at only like the achievements and start paying attention to the energy, because gifts leave clues. They leave these clues in your life. And the biggest clue is this, like they tend to leave you feeling more alive after you use them. So here's the tracker. Here's how I want you to pay attention to the energy. The first thing is follow the moments that bring you to life. If even just for the next week, you start paying attention to specific moments throughout your day, moments where you lose track of time, where you feel fully engaged, where you walk away feeling more energized, the moments where you feel like you're operating naturally rather than trying to force some sort of experience. Again, don't analyze them, just notice them, jot them down. Most people spend years ignoring these moments while chasing like productivity and achievement and some sort of external validation that's out there. Then go ahead and create your own like energy scorecard. At the end of the day, like you can ask yourself some simple questions to determine like what gave me energy today and what drained my energy today. Write the answers down. Even after a few days, these patterns start to emerge. They're not random moments. You see these consistent themes and certain conversations, certain activities, ways of helping people, environments. Once again, the goal isn't that you're doing some sort of perfect method or anything like that. The goal is just some awareness. The awareness is where the real change starts. We can see these energy gives and takeaways. And then you have to separate your gifts from your skills. These are two totally different things. And this is where it gets interesting. You make a list of things that you're genuinely good at, and then you ask yourself, which of these leave me energized and which are leaving me exhausted? Because there's a huge difference between a gift and a skill. Skill is something that you can become good at. Anyone can develop skills. A gift is something that not only creates value for others, but it brings you life. It brings life and energy to you. One drains you, one fuels you. Many people build their entire lives around some of the most draining things because that's where they receive the most recognition. And then you honestly, every single time, come back and look at the patterns, not the moments. If after a week, if you just tracked it, Review everything you wrote down. Look for those recurring themes of what was showing up and what's giving you the energy. What consistently makes you feel the most engaged, useful, connected, and present. Those patterns matter because like gifts rarely reveal themselves through like one massive, extraordinary event that you're going to have. More often, they're just going to reveal themselves through these ordinary moments that keep repeating. The clue isn't the intensity. The clue is the consistency, because so many people are going to spend years of their lives building themselves, building their lives around like what they're capable of instead of what they're called to, instead of what they're just naturally drawn to. They become known for things that drain them and reward things that completely exhaust them. They get promoted for the strengths they developed through effort rather than the gifts that they're designed to truly use. And eventually they wonder like why the success and the wins feel heavy or empty. The answer often sitting right in the energy trail that we just talked about. So do yours so you can see what that looks like for you. Now, the third area, I call this the borrowed eyes system. Okay, you have to borrow eyes from people who can see what you can't see. This is external collection of data that's there. Ask people the people whose view of you isn't broken in the way that you are, because that's where so many people get stuck. They gather the evidence, they follow the energy, they start seeing patterns, and then they do what they've always done. Like you're gonna fall into this pattern, like kind of hiccup that happens. Like that's just what happens for so many people. Old programming. You go back inside your own head and you try to decide whether or not any of this actually counts. And that's where the process will break down, because the voice doing the evaluation is usually the same voice that's dismissing like the gift for years. And the truth is, you are too close to your own strengths to see them clearly. Not because you're broken, not because you're lacking an awareness, but because like familiarity creates that blindness. The one thing that feels remarkable to other people often feel completely normal to you. That's why there comes a point where you need outside perspective. You need somebody else to step in. It's one of the most important things. It's why we have things like our coaching program and the mastermind community. Not because like other people know you better than you know yourself, but because they can often see things that you've stopped noticing. And so here's the system. Here's how you actually get other people's eyes, how you utilize them. The first thing, you're going to ask 5 people the same 3 questions. You should reach out to 5 people you know in different areas of your life. It could be friends, family members, mentors, co-workers, whatever. Someone you've served or helped. Ask them these 3 questions. Number 1 is, what do you think I do better than most people? Number 2 is, what seems to come naturally to me? And number 3 is, what would you always come to me for help with? Keep it simple. The goal isn't to collect compliments. The goal is to collect the patterns, because gifts tend to show up across different relationships in different environments in different ways, but it's the same gift showing up. And then look for that's where this next step is, like you got to look for what gets repeated. Once the responses come back, don't focus on any one answer. We're looking for repetition, what's showing up, what themes, what words are people using again and again. Maybe different people describe the same gifts in different languages. Maybe one person says you're encouraging and another says like you help people believe in themselves. And another one says you always know how to bring out the best in people. Like those are different words, but it's the same gift. Look for what yours could be. Repetition matters because patterns are much harder to dismiss than isolated observations. And then you can start to ask questions most people don't take the time to ask themselves. You gather some of these responses and you say like, okay, well, what's something you think I'm underestimating about myself? What's a strength you think I don't fully see yet? And this is where things get interesting. If you ask this of other people, the people around you have often been watching you use your gifts for years because they've been impacted by it. They've seen the results. They've seen the value. Like they've seen the moments that you brush it off 5 minutes later, right? And sometimes you can identify, sometimes they can identify the blind spots that you've never considered. And that's how you start to discover what's actually been missing. This is one of the most revealing exercises of it. Like think about a team, a family, business, a community, a group you're a part of, and ask a few like those choices, like, hey, if I disappeared tomorrow, what would be missing? And what tasks would stop getting done? Like that's not what we're focused on. It's not about the task. It's not about the responsibilities that would need to be reassigned. It's what unique contribution would actually be gone, what energy, what perspective, what ways of helping people, what presence, because your gifts are often the most visible in spaces that they leave behind. Sometimes people can describe the whole that you leave if more clearly than you can actually describe it yourself. Because you spend years, honestly, your entire life, looking at yourself from one angle on your own. And while self-awareness matters, it's a good thing to do, self-reflection, self-awareness, it has its limits. Things that feel ordinary to you don't feel ordinary to everyone else. The things that you've overlooked may be the very things people value the most. So stop trying to solve the puzzle from only one perspective. Borrow other people's eyes. It's a part of the growth pattern. And that takes us into the fourth area I want to cover. Okay, the question that you have to question your excuses. Like, okay, what? This is a question that excuses can't answer. Like, the excuses stop. You break this dismissal with it, as a part of that. So this is what we call the ordinary reframe. You force contradiction that you've been living inside of. Like, this is the point where, if you've gathered the evidence, you followed the energy, you've borrowed perspective from other people, and yet you're still doing the same thing. You're looking at all of it and saying, yeah, but I honestly don't think it's that special. That's the voice we're dealing with now, because the biggest obstacle isn't a lack of evidence. It's the habit of dismissing the evidence. You've been doing it for so long that it just feels normal. But I wanted to show you something. You're living inside you've been living inside this contradiction for years, a contradiction that honestly falls apart the moment that you look at it closely, when you start questioning it. And so this is the reframe I want you to do. Like, the first thing is, you want to make a list of everything you keep minimizing. Write them down. What are things that you're brushing off? Things that you call, it's common sense. It's no big deal. Anyone could do it. It's nothing special. Write those all down. Get them on paper. Not the things that you're proud of, the things that you're most likely to dismiss, because that's usually where your gifts are hiding. And then ask this question. It honestly will change things. Now you have that list. If you said, okay, if everybody can do this, why do people keep coming to me for it? And seriously, sit with that question. Don't rush past it. Think on it. Because if it were truly common, people wouldn't seek you out for it. They wouldn't call you. They wouldn't ask you for advice. They wouldn't trust you with it. Like, the fact that they do is the evidence. The evidence deserves more weight than the story that you've been telling yourself. Then start to pay attention. Pay attention to what frustrates you. This one surprises people. The thing that seems obvious to you, the things that you catch yourself being like, why the crap don't they see this? Why is this so hard for them? How are they missing this? Be careful. Your frustration might be pointing directly at one of your gifts, because it feels obvious to you often isn't obvious to everyone else. Sometimes the thing that you've been calling common sense is actually a unique way, your unique way of seeing the world. And if you've overlooked it, it's because you've been living with it your entire life, and that's why you're going past it. And then honestly, the other thing you can always do, one of the best ways to find your gifts, is you try teaching these things. You pick one of your gifts that you've identified and you teach it to someone else. You walk them through a thought process. You show them how you approach it. You explain what seems obvious to you, and watch what happens. You'll discover that the thing that you've been automatically doing for years isn't nearly as automatic to everyone else. What feels natural to you may require practice and coaching and repetition for someone else. That's a really important realization. Gifts rarely feel impressive from the inside. They feel normal. The value isn't in how difficult it feels to you. The value is in the difference it creates for somebody else. Now, that's going to take us to the fifth and final area that I want to cover. You got to stop studying the gift and start using it. You have to prove it. You can't be doing this endless reflection. So this is a 30-day deployment process. Even a challenge, if you want to take on it as a challenge, it's a 30-day process. The activation engine that makes this so real. You have to understand this. Some of you care about some of you are let me back up. Some of you are about to actually make one of the biggest mistakes as a part of all this whole thing. You're going to finish this video. You're going to feel inspired. You're going to feel you're going to go do the exercises, maybe write a few notes, and then you're going to go right back to thinking about your gifts instead of using them. And that's where most people get stuck. They spend years trying to gain a certain amount of certainty before they take action. But confidence rarely comes before the deployment. Confidence comes because you're actually watching your gifts create impact for other people. You don't discover your gift by thinking about it forever. You discover it by putting it to work. And so here's the challenge. I want you to use a gift of yours for one person this week. You pick one gift that keeps showing up. The one from maybe one of the ones that we did in the audit, one from the energy trail, maybe the one that people keep pointing out to you. And I want you to use it intentionally for someone this week, not eventually, not when you feel more qualified, this week. Because action has a way of creating clarity that reflection never could. Then put that gift, use it on purpose instead of by accident. If for the next 30 days, you look for the opportunities to use your gift deliberately. If you're natural at encouraging, then encourage someone. If you're a problem solver, help solve problems. If you're a connector, connect people. If you're good at teaching people, teach people. The goal isn't to become someone new. The goal is to become someone who's more intentional about who you've already been all along, and just using those gifts consciously, because you've been using them unconsciously for years. So we have to start using them intentionally and then track what happens. If you do that after a week, 2 weeks, 30 days, You're going to notice things as you kind of keep a record of what's been happening. Like, what impact have you been creating? What feedback are you receiving? How did you feel afterward? What confidence started to grow? Because like every time you use your gift, like to create value for someone else, it's going to leave evidence behind, and eventually that evidence becomes too strong to ignore. And then you create a system that keeps the gift visible. And the reason people lose confidence in their gifts is because they stop paying attention to them. So create a reminder system, keep a journal of wins, save encouraging messages, track stories of impact, talk regularly with someone who sees your strengths clearly, because like old habits of dismissing your gifts may try to come back. They will, it happens. And when it does, like you'll have the proof, real proof that you've been jotting down this whole time, not opinions or assumptions, evidence that this actually matters. Because gifts become clearer through use, not through endless reflection, not through waiting, not through some other personality test. You have to actually deploy them. And the fastest way to believe in your gift is to watch it help somebody else. That's what this is all about. Now, as we start to wrap up these 5 principles, we talked about we covered a lot. And why do people, even after they go through all this, sometimes they still miss what their gift is. They still miss this opportunity. As we walk through these principles of doing the gift blindness audit, the energy trail tracking, borrowing someone else's eyes, that ordinary reframe, and this deployment over 30 days, like you start to notice things. And if any part of this video hit home to you, then I want you to hear this. I want to talk directly to you for just a minute, because I know something about the people who watch content like this. You've spent years trying to improve yourself. You've read the books. You've taken courses. You've listened to the podcast, like trying to become more capable, more confident, and more effective. But what if the answer was never becoming more? What if it was just recognizing what has already been there this whole time? Because the truth is, you do not need another personality. You don't need another talent or another gift. No, you need to stop overlooking the ones that you've already been given. And that's where most people get stuck. They're not finding the gift. They get stuck because they're not trusting it. The moment they start seeing it, like the old stories come back, like, well, that's nothing. It's not special. Other people can do it. Like, it doesn't really count as one of these things. And before long, you're right back chasing strengths that were never meant to be a part of your life. That's why doing this work alone can be so difficult. And sometimes you need someone to help you see what you've spent years overlooking. That's why we have things like our one-on-one coaching program, the Ignition Accelerator. Like I said, this is for all of you. Parents, small business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, aspiring leaders, employees, caregivers, all the people out there trying to make a difference in people's lives. This is a 90-day coaching experience designed to help you uncover your gifts, build confidence around them, intentionally deploy them in a way that creates real impact. Together, we'll identify the patterns, the challenges, the blind spots, and create a really practical plan so you stop second guessing what makes you valuable and you actually start using it day by day. If you've already identified your gifts and you're ready for to take it even further, then even then that will help you turbocharge that. Now, if you are a small business owner or entrepreneur, you can also look into our Impact Makers Mastermind community. People, other small business owners and entrepreneurs who are committed to developing their gifts, building meaningful relationships, creating value, and making an impact that they know they were born to make. People who are challenging each other, encouraging each other, and reminding each other who they are when the self-doubt starts to come in. And so whichever of those two things makes sense to you, Ignition Accelerator for the one-on-one coaching for all of you, or as a small business owner, if you want to look into Impact Makers, you can check out the links below. There'll be links towards the top, both in there, you'll be able to go to the page, learn more about it. And if it makes sense to move on to that next step, you can move on to the next step. But whether you join us or not, here's what I want you to remember. You do not need to become someone different. You need to stop overlooking who you've been all along. The thing that you've been calling ordinary may be the exact thing that changes someone else's life. So stop dismissing, stop minimizing, stop throwing these things away. Pick it up, develop it, share it, and see what happens when you finally start doing that. Now, if you're not ready for the coaching or the community, then start somewhere, do something. Maybe it's using the link in the description to get yourself a copy of the Giver Method book. Like I said, it's available on Amazon right now for as little as $2, and you can get that digital version, or if you want, you can get the physical or the audio version on Amazon or Audible. The link will be in the description. You can also go to thegivermethod.com and get on our mailing list, or use the links in the description to go to thegivermethod.com and get access to some of our free resources. You can go follow us on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, all in the name The Giver Method. On YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications so we keep showing up for you. Whatever your thing is, keep learning, keep growing, and more importantly, keep paying attention to the things that you spent years overlooking, because one of your greatest gifts may be hiding right in front of you this whole time. Maybe the thing that you've been looking at every day and calling ordinary. You've never been missing the gift. You're missing your ability to recognize it. The things that holding you back isn't a lack of talent. is that you've spent years overlooking the talent that you already have, calling it ordinary and common sense and nothing special. Meanwhile, the people around you have been experiencing it very differently. They've been benefited from it. They appreciate it. They seek it out. And while you've been dismissing it, like you've been just letting it, you've been dismissing it, they've been seeing the value from it. So I want you to go through the different exercises we talked about. Start to implement them. Start to put them into place. Start to see the changes that will show up in your life when you start to recognize those gifts and superpowers and start using them intentionally. Here's what I'd love you to do. If you want to put in the comments, what's one thing you've spent years calling maybe nothing special that you started seeing differently? Put it in the comments. I read every one of those. If this video made you realize you've been overlooking something really valuable about yourself, maybe there's someone you know that you need to share it with, someone who needs that as a reminder. Share the video with them. Someone who's been convinced that they need more talent, when really what they need is just the perspective of the talent that they already have. Help them see these things through like the blindness audit and the energy trail tracker and borrowed eyes and ordinary reframe and the same type of 30-day deployment. Like the evidence is there, the gift is there, the opportunity is there. Stop throwing these things away. Pick them up and develop it. And watch what happens when you finally start using what you've had all along. Thank you so much for taking the time today to invest in yourself and watching today's video. Feel free to check out the other videos on the channel. Feel free to check out all the links that we have in the description. And all I'll say is hopefully you have a great rest of your day. Have a good one.